Welcome back, you guys, and if you've been wondering why the Orlando Magic have missed the playoffs for 6 straight seasons, then I hope this video provides a bit more clarity on their current situation. Since the Dwight Howard trade in 2012, they have made a number of questionable signings and trades that has put them in a place where a lot of NBA fans have no idea what they're doing and where they're trying to go as a franchise. Of course, if you're a fan of the Magic or have been paying attention to the team and I don't mention something in the video, don't hesitate to drop your thoughts in the comments. Once the Orlando Magic were eliminated in the second round of the 2012 playoffs with Dwight Howard sidelined due to a back injury, it became more clear that the Dwight and Stan Van Gundy era in Orlando was over and they needed to clean house. They were no longer contenders and there was a lot of drama surrounding the team because of Dwight's trade demands, so it was time to move into rebuild mode during the summer of 2012. So to lead that rebuild, they put their trust in Rob Hennigan, who is 31 years old and a Thunder assistant GM. He is somebody that people would consider one of the worst GMs of the past 5 years. His first big trade was a 4-team deal where they got back Aaron Aflalo, Al Harrington, Mo Harkless, Josh McRoberts, Nikola Vucevic, and a number of draft picks. Not the greatest deal in the world, but not terrible. The Magic got back some young, promising players and veterans to fill out the roster. At the 2013 trade deadline, they traded away JJ Redick and Ish Smith for Tobias Harris, Bino Udrih, and Deron Lamb. Again, not the greatest deal, but they got back a young player in Tobias Harris that can score, and he led the Magic in scoring after the trade deadline with 17 points per game. But they ended up trading Tobias Harris at the 2016 trade deadline for Ersan Ilyasova and Brandon Jennings because they no longer wanted to pay Harris's $64 million contract. In hindsight, this trade was pretty bad, seeing how Tobias has grown as a player in Detroit and in LA. He averaged almost 20 points per game on 47% shooting with the Clippers. Brandon Jennings left in the summer of 2016, and Ilyasova was traded that summer. At the 2013 NBA draft, the Magic selected Victor Oladipo, the most promising player the Magic have drafted since Dwight Howard in 2004, and they ended up trading him away in the summer of 2016 for Serge Ibaka, which didn't make much sense because they were developing Aaron Gordon, but we'll get to the Ibaka trade later. The reason the Magic traded away Victor was that they didn't want to give him a max extension, and even though he had scoring flashes, he was on the bench for half of the 2016 season, so they felt it was the right move to get rid of him. Seeing how Victor has turned into an all-star, we can safely say that was a bad move. One of the reasons it did not work out in Orlando was that there were so many young players who needed the ball and rookies trying to prove themselves that it made it hard. Victor said in an interview that there were a lot of young guys trying to prove I am that guy. It was almost like we were in a battle against each other when we played instead of trying to work together to try to get a win. In the summer of 2014, the Magic actually made some nice moves. They traded away Aaron Aflalo to Denver for Evan Fournier. Evan has turned out to be a 17-point-per-game scorer and their best perimeter player on offense the last few seasons. They also drafted Aaron Gordon with the 4th pick that year. He's turned out to be a good player, but this is the Magic we're talking about, and it was only so long before Rob Hennigan was going to make a deal that was going to turn out bad in a few years. 8 picks after they selected Aaron Gordon, they took Dario Saric, but they traded him for Elfrid Payton, the number 10 pick. Payton has turned out to be a rotation player, and Saric would have been another one of Orlando's 500 power forwards, but it's clear that Dario is the superior player. To no one's surprise though, the Magic lost 58 games that year, and in the summer of 2015, they traded Mo Harkless to Portland for a 2020 second-round pick. Harkless would probably be Orlando's starting small forward right now, and on Portland, he's been a pretty good 3-and-D player in their starting lineup. That trade didn't work out well to me because they got back basically nothing after giving him a huge contract. Moving on to the 2015-2016 season, the Magic drafted Mario Hezonja with the 5th pick, and he's been bad for them up until the 2018 season, which is funny because they declined his 4th-year option this past October, which means he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Mario can sign with any team and the Magic can no longer retain him if he leaves, but that might be a good thing as it will open up shots for other players. In that 2016 season, they became somewhat competitive. They won 35 games, but Oladipo was struggling as a starter, so his future with the team was uncertain. Head coach Scott Skiles was so frustrated with the way the franchise was going that he quit after 1 season, and his reasoning was that he felt that he wasn't the right coach. If you did not know, Scott Skiles is a big figure in Magic history. He played with them in the 90s, he has the record for most assists in a game, and he did not want to be a part of the rebuild. At the 2016 draft, they took Domantas Sabonis, but they shipped him to OKC with Oladipo in the trade for Serge Ibaka. Sabonis has turned out to be a pretty good player with Indiana, and we've seen how Victor has developed into an all-star. What made little sense was the signing of Bismack Biyombo that summer to an untradeable $17 million per year in free agency, which was probably one of the worst moves Hennigan made. Bismack got that contract because of a pretty good playoff stretch in 2016. He had a 26 rebound, 4 block game against the Cavs, so they thought he'd break out even more. But looking at their roster, it did not make much sense given their frontcourt. The Magic had Aaron Gordon, Nikola Vucevic, and Jeff Green, so their frontcourt is packed with guys that can play, but not at the same time, so it's awkward. To put it briefly, Bismack has not been worth the $72 million Orlando paid for, and the Ibaka experiment didn't work out, so they traded him to Toronto for Terrence Ross after just one season because they feared he would leave in free agency. Another just weird trade, to be honest, as Ibaka just never really fit with Orlando's timeline. The Magic have not gotten anywhere since Hennigan was hired 5 years ago, and they are pretty much in the same spot where they were at the beginning. The Orlando Magic were 132 and 278 in the Hennigan era, which is a 32 winning percentage. That is the second worst winning percentage in the NBA since the 2012-2013 season. After not developing that star player and making questionable trades, the Magic fired Hennigan in April 2017 after he took a picture of a player signing a contract with a whiteboard of potential trades and free agents in the background. That was a pretty embarrassing moment, but Hennigan is back with OKC if you're wondering. So to move on to the 2018 season, the Magic are still, well, very bad. They fired Frank Vogel at the end of the season. They traded away Elfrid Payton, which makes sense because he's probably not their point guard of the future, but they only got a second-round pick back for him. They need talent on the roster, so they're most likely going to sign Aaron Gordon to a max offer this summer. Orlando just drafted Jonathan Isaac, and we haven't seen enough of him, so we don't know what he is yet, and they have Jonathan Simmons for 2 more years, so that's a plus. To sum up why they are bad, here are Orlando's 5 highest paid players: Evan Fournier, Bismack Biyombo, Nikola Vucevic, Terrence Ross, and DJ Augustine. Yeah, if those are your 5 highest paid players, you're not going anywhere. Over the last 5 seasons, the Magic had a nice group of young talent, but the front office not being patient with those young players, having no clear roster goals which led to questionable trades, and having a bunch of young players that need the ball to prove themselves have been the reasons why they're bad. And to be honest, they still have an awkward frontcourt situation. Jonathan Isaac needs minutes to prove himself, Bismack Biyombo is getting paid $17 million, Aaron Gordon's going to get his minutes, Nikola Vucevic is getting paid like $12 million, he needs his minutes. It's just a weird situation. It's gotten so dark in Orlando that their official Twitter is tweeting about Shelvin Mack's 3.9 assists per game. They're in a bad spot, but fortunately for them, they have the 5th best draft lottery odds, which hopefully means they select a player that can be a part of their future. The 2019 season could be a step in the right direction with the new young players and a new coach, but from what we know now, it's not looking too good for them. We honestly have no idea how they're trying to build their team, and I wonder if ownership is more of a problem here. I appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video. We just passed 150k subs, so if you enjoyed even one part of the video, leave a like as it helps my channel grow. Let me know your thoughts on the Orlando Magic, and I'll see you guys in my next one, which might be about the Toronto Raptors if they get swept.